Alright, let's talk about imperfections. I was having a conversation the other day that with a friend of mine. We were talking about imperfections. You know, my friend is one of the best storytellers that I know. When he really gets going and he really gets wound up, he's just gut-bustingly hilarious. But he doesn't like to tell a lot of his stories because a lot of them involve mistakes he's made or things that have gone wrong or things that don't paint him in the best light. And I mean, everybody's got stories like that, right? Everybody's got things that have happened in our lives that we're not proud of, that don't make us look great. But we were having this conversation, we were talking about imperfections, and at one point I was thinking, and it occurred to me that like acknowledging your imperfections is one of the biggest gifts you can give to the world around you. It's also one of the biggest gifts you can give to yourself, because if you acknowledge your imperfections and you decide to be okay with your imperfections, you'll be more comfortable and you'll live a happier life because you won't be hung up on all the things you can't or don't, or all the things that aren't perfect about yourself or your life or whatever. But it's also a gift for the people around you, because I don't know about you, but when I'm around imperfect people, I feel so much better about my own imperfections. You know, when I'm around people that are just totally chill and comfortable in who they are, regardless of their flaws, and when they just own themselves, I feel so much more comfortable owning myself and just being okay with who I am, and both the things that I'm happy with and the things that I want to change. You know, you can want to improve, you can want to grow and still be happy with the way you are and be okay with your imperfections and acknowledge your imperfections. And it's just, it's so fascinating because, you know, we've got social media these days, we've got like just people try to present to the world in the most perfect light they possibly can, and I don't know, I just feel like we're all doing each other a big disservice by doing that, because there's so much about life that's imperfect. Everybody has had crazy things happen to us that are just messy and horrible and scary, and like all kinds of craziness has happened to everybody, and it's imperfect and it's not necessarily pleasant. But I think it's important to acknowledge it and to talk about it openly and to just be okay with it, because I think that makes other people feel more okay with their own. And when we're all more comfortable in our lives, when we're all more happy just being who we are, then life just gets easier, life just gets better. So anyway, it was just a thought that was rolling around. I think it's really important to acknowledge those imperfections and be comfortable with them, you know, be comfortable with being who you are, be comfortable with doing what you do, own your mistakes. Oh, you know, that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned in life. I always remember when I was working at a landscaping company, going through my apprenticeship, and my boss was awesome. He used to send us for all kinds of really great training, and he sent us to this leadership training course, and the guy that was putting on the course was super cool dude, like one of the coolest people I ever met. Super cool dude. We're sitting there in this building. It was made out of cordwood, which is essentially like a firewood stack but mortared together to create a building. It was the neatest little building. It was hexagonal, 6-sided. We're sitting there, there's this old cast iron wood stove in the corner. We had a little fire going, and we're sitting around talking about leadership. And he said at one point, he told us this story about how he had messed something up. You know, he had blown a deadline, or he had forgotten to call somebody back. It was something, it was a fairly major mistake, whatever it was. And he had to call the guy that he reported to, essentially, the guy that was going to be upset about the mistake, and acknowledge it and tell him. And anytime you got to do that in life, you know, we've all had to do it, right? But anytime you've got to do that, you've got two choices. You can either try to cover it up and be like, blame other people and just be all, just try to project the blame to somebody else. Or you can just own it. You can be like, yeah, you know what, I messed up. And an interesting thing happens when you messed up, and that was what Will was trying to illustrate at this leadership thing. He was telling us this story, and he said, I called him up and I said, hey, you know what? I messed up. I didn't pay on time, or whatever the problem was. I can't remember. I didn't pay on time. I messed up. I'm really sorry. What can I do? What do you want me to do to make this right? And immediately Bill, the guy on the other end, just laughed. He was like, you know what, there's no big deal. Here's how we can iron this out and we'll move on. Because how can you be mad at somebody? How can you be upset with somebody who's trying to fix their mistake? You know, you can be upset when somebody calls up and says, oh, so-and-so didn't send the bill, or so-and-so didn't get the invoice on my desk, or whatever. Somebody else is responsible. It's easy to be upset with that. It's easy to be angry with that. But if somebody calls you and they're just like, hey, yeah, I messed up, how do I fix it? Then immediately people want to help you. You know, if you just acknowledge your mistakes, acknowledge your imperfections, then people want to help you make them better. You know, people want to support you. Other people want the best for you. A lot of people don't realize that, but the average person on the street generally wants the best for the people around them. Now, sure, there's exceptions, but I don't know, in my experience, people mean well and people are on your side if you're on your own side. And one of the ways you can be on your own side is to acknowledge your imperfections. Anyway, it's fascinating to me and I love thinking about it, and I just wanted to share it with you. I hope that has some kind of meaning and you can apply it in some way in your own life. Just realize that it's okay to be imperfect. It's okay to mess things up. It's okay to not know things. It's just like, it's okay to be whoever you are. It's okay to do whatever you do. It's like there's nothing wrong with the way you live or anything. It's okay to want to improve it. It's okay, but it's not okay to hide from the imperfections. It's not okay to tuck them away and not show the world, not acknowledge them. There's a power in acknowledging them, and I really I hope that means something in your life and you can apply that in some way. Anyway, I'm really glad you're listening. If you're still here, tell your friends, help me get these videos out to more people. I've got some really cool things coming, some really great ideas about topics I want to share, and yeah, I'm just grateful that you're here listening to me day after day. So take care, and I'll speak with you again very soon.